Prague, 1612. A scream tears through the heavy air of an alchemist's workshop. The smell of burning metal, the hiss of steam, the faint shimmer of liquid silver, all of it mixes with the sound of agony as a woman's face is pressed against a scalding iron. What's worse, there's an audience. Dozens of onlookers stand just beyond the doorway, watching silently. They've paid to see this. She asked for it. This, unbelievably, was called a beauty treatment. And tonight, you're going to learn about 3 rituals so horrific that historians tried to scrub them from history itself. We're talking about the white face paint that literally rotted Queen Elizabeth I's skin while she was still alive, the eye drops that blinded entire salons of noblewomen, and the silver elixir that left permanent black scars where smooth, pale skin once gleamed. But here's what's really disturbing. One of these methods, or at least its modern descendant, is still legal today, and you might have its ingredients sitting innocently in your bathroom right now. So let's rewind, back to where this nightmare began. Venice, 1550. The air smells of salt and spice. The streets glisten with the wealth of an empire. You stroll through Piazza San Marco and instantly know who's noble and who's not. It's not the silk gowns or the jewels that give it away. It's their skin. The rich look almost ghostly. Smooth, pale, nearly translucent as if carved from porcelain. The poor, sunburned, freckled, alive. And that was the problem. In Renaissance Europe, a tan was a death sentence for your social reputation. It screamed peasant. It meant you toiled in the fields, touched dirt, lived under the sun. But white skin, untouched, ethereal, meant power. It meant your hands had never worked. Your life was one of luxury. Women would do anything to get it. And anything meant poison. The beauty manuals of the day read like grim alchemy textbooks. Lead, mercury, arsenic, vinegar, all mixed into creams and paints with one goal: erase color, erase imperfection, erase life itself. And they knew. They knew what it was doing to them. Doctors of the time wrote about what they called the beauty death. They documented every stage: the trembling hands, the hair falling out, the teeth loosening, then dropping, the skin turning gray, then madness, then mercy, death. The average noblewoman who used these cosmetics died around age 37, and still they refused to stop, because to live ugly was a worse fate than to die beautiful. Better to be admired in the coffin than pitied in old age. Nowhere was that devotion clearer than in the story of one particular poison, the deadliest of them all. Method 1. Venetian ceruse. The foundation that ate your face alive. Imagine you're a 16-year-old noblewoman preparing for your debut ball. Your maid opens a small jar filled with thick, milky paste. It smells faintly of vinegar and chalk. She brushes it gently over your cheeks, your forehead, your neck. Layer by layer, your natural skin disappears under a smooth, pale mask. It looks divine. It feels like victory. But you've just painted your death onto your face. Venetian ceruse was a blend of white lead, mercury, and arsenic, a chemical trinity that could kill a grown man in minutes if swallowed. And women applied it every single day. At first it burns, then small sores appear around your nose and mouth. Your maid tells you not to worry. It means it's working. It's purging the impurities, she says. So you apply more. You cover the sores with thicker layers. But ceruse doesn't just sit on your skin, it seeps in. Through those tiny wounds, the lead invades your bloodstream, killing you molecule by molecule. 6 months in, your hands start trembling. A year later, your hair falls out. 2 years, your teeth begin to rot and drop. 3 years, you're hallucinating, hearing whispers from mirrors that no one else can hear. And still, you don't stop. Even England's most powerful woman couldn't resist. Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, was the most famous ceruse user in history. After smallpox left her face scarred in her 20s, she turned to ceruse to hide the damage. By 40, she was applying it an inch thick every morning. By 60, her face had become a living corpse. Her ladies-in-waiting wrote that when she removed her makeup, chunks of skin came off with it. Her jawline was riddled with open sores that never healed. And when she died at 69, Her body showed massive lead damage, her organs literally decaying from within. The product worked exactly as promised. She remained pale, flawless, and dead long before she was buried. But if you think painting poison on your skin is horrific, just wait. Because the next beauty ritual didn't sit on the surface. It went straight through the eyes. Picture yourself in a candlelit ballroom in Renaissance Italy. Everywhere you look, women with enormous glistening black pupils that swallow the light. They look enchanting, hypnotic, and completely unnatural. Those eyes weren't born that way. They were made with a plant so deadly that 3 of its berries could kill you outright. Its name, belladonna. Italian for beautiful woman. A fitting title for something that could make you irresistible, right before it blinded you. See, belladonna's poison wasn't consumed. It was dropped directly into the eyes, 1 drop per pupil. Instant magic. Within minutes, the muscles that control your iris become paralyzed. Your pupils expand to their widest point and stay there. In dim light, the effect is stunning. Eyes look bigger, darker, full of emotion. In candlelight, they reflect every flame like black glass. Men were obsessed. Poets compared these women to angels. Painters immortalized them in portraits. But the women behind those eyes, they were suffering in silence. Because belladonna didn't just make eyes beautiful, it destroyed them. In 1595 alone, Venetian doctors documented 37 cases of permanent blindness among noblewomen who used belladonna. That's just the official count. The real number? Probably hundreds. Here's what it did to you, step by step. First, the world goes dazzlingly bright. Even candlelight hurts. Your pupils can't contract, so every ray of light feels like a blade. You squint, blink, cry, but the light keeps stabbing into your vision. Then the headaches begin. Then the blurring. Then the darkness. Within months, your sight is gone for good. And yet, they kept using it. Why? Because belladonna didn't just change your eyes. It changed how the world saw you. You used it once at a party. Men complimented your gaze. You felt beautiful, powerful, wanted. 3 days later, your vision was still hazy, but you had another ball to attend. Would you walk in with normal eyes again? Of course not. You'd reach for the poison again, even knowing it was destroying you. That's the beauty addiction loop, a phenomenon as old as vanity itself. Once society tells you your worth depends on how you look, you'll do anything to keep that look, even if it's killing you. Estate records show some noblewomen spent the modern equivalent of $50,000 a year on belladonna drops. By the time their money ran out, so had their eyesight. But belladonna, at least, was a choice. The next ritual wasn't, because the women who endured what came next didn't know they were signing up for disfigurement. They trusted someone they shouldn't have. And when the truth came out, it shook Europe's elite to its core. The year was 1612. The place, Prague, and the treatment promised eternal youth through silver. You've probably heard the legend, the one about women dipped in molten silver. That's not true. But the real story? It's far, far worse. Because the silver didn't just touch their skin, it fused with it. And once it did, it never let go. Let's set the record straight. No one was ever dipped in molten silver. That's a myth, a centuries-old game of historical telephone. But the truth behind it? It's infinitely more disturbing. In the early 1600s, Europe was obsessed with alchemy, the idea that science, faith, and magic could merge to conquer nature itself. And among the noble elite, that obsession turned toward one thing: immortality through beauty. Enter Johann Conrad Dippel, a self-proclaimed alchemist and physician operating in Prague around 1612. His specialty? Silver. Not jewelry, not currency, but skin. Dippel believed silver held the key to eternal youth. After all, silver never rusts or tarnishes. So he reasoned, if you could bind it to human flesh, maybe the skin would never age either. It sounds absurd now, but in a world before modern chemistry, it was revolutionary. Wealthy women from across Bohemia lined up at his door, desperate to try what he called argentum vitalis, the silver of life. But what Dippel actually used was silver nitrate, one of the most corrosive chemicals known to man. When it touches skin, it burns deep, killing living tissue and staining whatever's left a permanent ghostly black. Let's imagine the experience. You're a countess in your mid-30s. You've noticed the first fine lines creeping across your cheeks. In a society where youth equals value, that's a death sentence. So when a famous alchemist promises to freeze time, you pay him what amounts to $80,000 in today's money. You sit in his laboratory, a dim, candle-lit room filled with flasks and smoke. He straps your head still so you don't flinch. Then he dips a brush into a shimmering silver solution and begins painting it across your face. At first it feels cool, almost soothing. Then, suddenly, the burning starts. Like acid. You scream. He assures you the pain means it's working. But here's what's really happening. The silver nitrate is oxidizing your skin, literally burning through the upper layers and reacting with the cells beneath. The chemical penetrates deep into your dermis, where it binds to the tissue permanently. Within minutes, the damage is irreversible. A day later, your skin feels tight, scorched, raw. 2 days in, the surface begins to darken. Within a week, your face is mottled black and grey, the pattern matching every brushstroke. Dipple tells you it's part of the process, that the darkness will fade as your skin absorbs the silver's purity. But it never does. You look in the mirror and realize your face has been branded forever. You've become a walking warning sign. Of the 12 women Dipple treated, 3 took their own lives within months. 5 fled public life entirely, joining convents and hiding their faces behind veils. The remaining 4 dragged him to court, exposing what he'd done. The scandal exploded. Dipple was tried for manslaughter and executed, but his idea spread long before his death. Records from Vienna, Munich, and Prague mention at least 50 similar treatments between 1605 and 1620. Silver, mercury, lead, each promising beauty, each destroying it beyond repair. The practice only stopped when the results became impossible to hide. When the noble courts filled with women whose faces looked bruised, ghostly, and burned black by the very metal that symbolized purity. And so the legend of molten silver was born, a poetic shorthand for something far crueler. A beauty industry willing to mutilate its own customers, all in the name of perfection. But if you think that was the darkest chapter in beauty history, think again. Because what came next wasn't science gone wrong. It wasn't chemistry or vanity or ignorance. It was deliberate. It was murder. And it came from a woman who believed she'd found the ultimate beauty secret. One written not in ink or mercury, but in blood. Hungary, 1610. A castle stands atop a lonely hill, its windows shuttered against the night. Inside, servants move silently, carrying buckets of something thick and dark through candlelit halls. At the center of it all sits Countess Elizabeth Bathory, one of the most powerful noblewomen in Europe and one of history's most prolific killers. Her crime? Trying to stop time itself. Bathory had everything: wealth, status, servants by the hundreds. But as she aged, her beauty began to fade. And in the world she lived in, that wasn't just vanity, it was a loss of power. Rumor has it, one day, a young maid accidentally pulled her hair while brushing it. In a rage, Elizabeth struck her so hard that blood splattered onto her skin. Later, she thought she noticed the spot where the blood had landed looked smoother, younger. That moment became obsession. From then on, she was convinced that bathing in the blood of virgins would restore her youth. Over the next 25 years, she orchestrated a horror that would make even the darkest legends seem tame. Her servants lured peasant girls to her castle with promises of work, maids, seamstresses, companions. But once inside, they never left. When Bathory wanted her treatment, the girls were brought to her chambers. They were stripped, hung upside down, and their throats slit over a massive basin. As the blood drained, she would step in, bathing, rubbing it into her skin, believing it would feed her youth. When Hungarian authorities finally stormed her castle in 1610, they found rooms filled with mutilated bodies, Some fresh, some decomposing, others long turned to bone. Walls stained black, torture devices everywhere. Official estimates say she murdered around 650 women, 650. And yet, even after the discovery, she wasn't executed. She was too powerful, too noble, too connected. Killing her outright could ignite a political crisis. So the court did something even crueler. They bricked her alive inside her own castle chamber. No doors, no windows, just a tiny slit to pass food and water. For 4 years she lived in total darkness, her final prison, a tomb built by her own vanity. When they finally opened it in 1614, she was found shriveled, aged beyond recognition, a corpse of the woman she once was. The blood had bought her nothing. Historians tried to bury the story. It was too grotesque, too scandalous. But folklore didn't forget. Her legend became the seed for centuries of vampire myths, the aristocrat who feeds on youth to preserve beauty. From Carmilla to Dracula, her shadow lingers behind every story of the seductive, immortal predator. But here's the truly terrifying part. Her beliefs weren't isolated madness. They were the logical extreme of Renaissance beauty culture, a world that taught women their worth was measured in smooth skin and pale flesh, and that pain was the price of perfection. The poisons changed, the faces changed, the message never did. Between 1550 and 1700, an estimated 15,000 European women died from cosmetic poisoning: lead, mercury, arsenic, belladonna. These weren't fringe experiments, they were mainstream trends. And if you think we've outgrown this, let's look closer. In recent FDA studies, 47 out of 49 major lipstick brands still contained detectable lead, some with levels high enough to violate children's safety limits. Mercury-laced skin lightening creams remain legal in at least 12 countries, sold to millions of women chasing the same pale ideal that killed their ancestors. The ingredients have new names: lead acetate instead of white lead, methyl mercury instead of mercury sublimate, but the poison hasn't changed. Neither has the psychology, because every era tells its women the same lie: that aging is a disease, that beauty is survival, that it's better to suffer for perfection than to live imperfectly. From Venetian ceruse to belladonna eyes, from silver burns to bloodbaths, it's all part of the same story. The story of people who were willing to destroy themselves to fit the image the world demanded. And maybe, just maybe, that story isn't over. So before you reach for the next miracle serum or beauty trend, ask yourself, would you still use it if you knew what it cost the women who came before you? Because the faces in the mirror have changed, but the poison in the paint